Hello, my name is Jay from BroGaming, and you're watching Deck Garage. Hello everyone, this is Jay from BroGaming, and welcome to the first episode of the brand new series Deck Garage, where we take a look at concept decks and other decks that can make an impact in the Pokemon TCG. Our first episode is about a highly anticipated card that was leaked a few weeks ago, Golisopod-GX. Now, starting off quick, we're going to put 4 Wimpod into this deck because we will need a basic Pokemon to evolve into Golisopod, obviously. After we throw in our 4 Wimpod, we're going to throw 4 Golisopod in for the main attacker. Now, why I put in 4 Golisopod and not any less is because it is our main attacker, and it's really our only attacker in this deck that can do a lot of damage to the active Pokemon. So we're going to want a few of them in case in the early game, 1 goes down or 2 goes down. We're going to need those other 2 for the late game or possibly, but most of the time you're only going to be switching in between 2 Golisopods. Anyways, after that, we are going to be adding an attack supporter for the deck. Attack supporters are cards that beef up the attack of your main attacker and are a great addition to any deck that needs some extra power for one-hit KOs. The Lurantis Promo is perfect for adding 20 more damage to our grass-type Pokemon attacks. That means we're going to be putting 2 Fomantis and 2 Lurantis cards in this deck. I wouldn't recommend adding any more than this, but the Lurantis effects do stack for each one that you have on the bench, adding up to a total of 80 damage. You can possibly be adding to your grass-type Pokemon's attack, but we're only going to be putting in 2, so 40 damage is going to be the max we add. Next up might seem like a weird pick, but trust me here, it's definitely going to be coming in handy. Tapu Koko Promo feels like it fits really well into this deck, and I kind of deliberated between putting 1 and 2 into this deck, but decided that 1 would be enough. And you won't be using its second attack, so don't worry about it, but its first attack can cost a single double colorless energy, and we are running some DCE in this deck, and it does 20 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This could easily pick up some late game prize cards once Golisopod has done some major damage, because not only are you going to be switching in between your Golisopods, but you're also going to be switching your opponent's Pokemon in and out of the active position as well. So if a couple Pokemon that you almost have finished off get stuck on that bench, Tapu Koko is going to come in and easily clean up the mess that you have made. So definitely there's a few different options in how to play this, but like I said, I'm only putting 1 in this deck profile. You can always put 2. I wouldn't recommend putting more than 2 in there because then it might seem like it gets a little bit clunky. So finishing up the Pokemon here, obviously I'm putting in Tapu Lele. Now, this deck is highly dependent on having the right item and supporter cards in your hand at the right time. So Lele is definitely a need for this deck. Now, you could go more budget and definitely take a more, like putting a Rungaroo in this deck or something like that. But for this deck profile, we're definitely putting in Tapu Lele because this is more on the competitive side. So it's definitely going to, obviously Lele's ability Wonder Tag is going to be putting those supporter cards in your hand when you need them at the right time. So moving on to trainer cards, we started off with basically the core of this deck for Guzma. So the Guzma card that is being released in the new set pairs really well with Golisopod. And since most likely we're losing Lysander, this will definitely take its place. But in Golisopod, I definitely probably wouldn't run Lysander anyways because you're only switching your opponent's active Pokemon, where with Guzma, you are switching yours and your opponent's, so you can switch into your Golisopod and take out the Pokemon before they can become a threat because you're also switching your opponent's Pokemon at the same time. Really great, really works well in this deck, especially with Golisopod's first attack. Now, alongside Guzma, we are playing 2 switch cards. Guzma won't always be the right card that you need, so in that case, you don't want to be throwing out a Guzma when you don't need to switch your opponent's Pokemon. So a switch will definitely come in handy when you're not looking to switch your opponent's Pokemon, but you definitely need to do the damage that Golisopod has the potential to do. Now, Lurantis beefs up Golisopod a little bit, but Choice Band will really give Golisopod the max amount of damage you can do. With Choice Band, Golisopod's first attack does 150 damage, and add 20 more damage for each Lurantis you have on the bench, totaling to a 900 not 900, 190 max damage on Golisopod's first attack, 170 for a second, and for a GX attack does 220. So definitely we're throwing in 4 in this deck. Now, a little side note here, you could only play 2 and play 2 Floatstone alongside Choice Band. That is a very viable option for this deck. Placing 2 Floatstones on the field at the same time is going to give you a good runaround for switching in and out your Golisopods every single turn. But Field Blower is definitely a pretty strong card in the format right now, and only playing 2 of a tool card right now is really down, because if you have both of them out on the field and your opponent throws down a Field Blower, immediately they are in your discard pile. So Floatstone might not be as viable option as the Guzma and switches. So now, next, we are putting 2 Bridgette for some easy setup. You can grab 3 basic Pokemon, allowing you to get Wimpod, Fomantis, or Tapu Koko on your bench fairly easily. So definitely 2 Bridgette is going to be a great way to speed up this deck and get those basic Pokemon that you need out on the bench. Obviously, we are playing 4 Sycamores for some draw power, 2 in for some draw power, and a small amount of disruption. For Ultra Ball to grab Lurantis, Tapu Lele, and Golisopod. I would not recommend grabbing any of your basic Pokemon with Ultra Ball unless you absolutely have to, because Ultra Ball into Tapu Lele into Bridgette is going to net you a lot more Pokemon than just Ultra Balling for a basic Pokemon. So definitely do that over playing Nest Balls. 2 Field Blowers just because of how good it can be. Obviously, like I said, it can wipe off those tool cards, and not only can it disrupt you, but it can disrupt your opponent, so definitely play Field Blowers. It is an awesome card. 4 Puzzle of Times, because you'll need to be retrieving cards from your discard pile. A lot of people don't like Puzzle of Times, and that's perfectly okay. But in this deck, Puzzle of Times is almost needed, because there's not very many ways to retrieve item cards from your deck. So Guzma may run out quickly, and you might need to grab Tapu Lele or something back, and it's really just a good card to have just to retrieve some cards from your discard pile. Now, I am playing a single ace trainer because Glaceon can become a problem for this deck. Lapras GX isn't the best exactly matchup, but because Golisopod's obviously going to attack its weakness, and you'll be taking out Labras's quite easily, but in case they're running a Glaceon in the deck, Golisopod is not going to be able to attack that Glaceon. You have Tapu Lele, which Tapu Lele is a pretty good counter for Glaceon, but a single ace trainer will also do the trick if you don't have that Tapu Lele to switch into. Now, I'm also putting 2 special charges in this deck. Like I said before, we are playing 4 DCE, but we'll get to that later. That will allow for some energy retrieval in the late game, because a lot of Drampa GXs are running around. Plus, you have Sylveon, who sometimes runs Enhanced Hammers. Not only that, but there are a lot of disruption cards coming into the game. So having those 2 special charges is definitely going to allow you to keep your DCE in your deck and on the field a lot easier. Plus, in case you have already used your DCE or discarded your DCE, those 2 special charges may put them back into the deck for a late game Tapu Koko. And Tapu Koko, I swear it will be a great card to be using in this deck. Now, I'm running 2 Hala for some added draw power after you use your GX move. I wouldn't advise playing it too early in the game because you have Sycamore and in, but 2 Hala after you use your GX move is a pretty solid point to put in this deck. A Golisopod isn't a card that is going to be waiting around for a long time for the perfect moment to use his GX move. When you see your opponent start setting up his game, knock him down with his GX move. It will set them back and allow you to switch into allow you to switch one of their Pokemon in. So it's definitely a great GX move, and you want to use it at the right time, but not too late in the game. I think waiting too late in the game is going to be a downfall to his GX move. Now, to finish off the trainer cards, I'm putting 2 max potions in for some healings. Sometimes Golisopod will definitely need it, and since you'll be switching in and out of Golisopods, only having a single energy attack because of his first attack would definitely be a smart move to throw some in. And that's something that your opponent might not be expecting. Max Potion isn't a card that a lot of people use. in the standard format, so throwing in a couple is always a little bit out of the blue and might throw your opponent off and make him really think about how he's going to run his next turn because you just healed an entire Golisopod up. So now to finish off the deck list, we are going to put 4 DCE in, like I said, and 6 Grass Energy. This is a pretty standard running 10 energy in the deck. I don't think you're going to need more than 6 Grass Energy because you're only going to be ever attaching 1 to a Golisopod, and 4 DCE is all you can run, so unfortunately that's all we can put in this deck. Anyways, I think that maxes it out at our 60 card deck. So now let's move on to some matchups. This is a feature only to Deck Garage so far. We look at the standard format and match this deck up with decks currently in the standard format that have been doing good. So let's first look at Lurantis GX that we've talked about in the video already. It's an easy win, mostly because of its weakness and its relatively low HP. Now I say relatively because it does have 180, but an easy switch into a Golisopod will net 240 on Labris, so you'll most likely be one-hit KOing every single turn, and they will need 2 to 3 turns to take down one of your Pokemon. Plus, it takes 3 water energy to get 1 Labris GX built up and ready to attack, and that's not exactly easy to do even with Water Patch and Max Elixir in the game. So next matchup is Garbodor. It is slightly favorable. It's not exactly a most definite win. With its low HP, you'll be able to one-hit KO no problem, but with the amount of item cards used in this deck, the late game might turn on you. So the best way to attack this deck and take on this deck would definitely be making a strong attack early game when the deck is not as strong. Now, Garbodor does have some early game potential, but using Golisopod early game and taking out those Garbodors and taking out those Trebushes even before they can possibly get to Garbodors is definitely going to be a really good option for this deck and might just be able to turn the tide in a Garbodor match. Now, the next one we are talking about is Sylveon-GX. This card might become a problem. It isn't a definite lose, because by all means, with the ability to switch out their Pokemon as well as yours, you shouldn't be too afraid to take this one on. Special Charge will be able to grab DCE back if they detach it, but with such a low attack on Sylveon, it won't be able to keep up with you playing Max Potions and the damage that you're putting out. So relatively, your Sylveon GX and Golisopod only have a 10 HP difference. So really, it's going to be who does more damage. It's going to be a prize battle in every single one of these matches. And most likely, you're going to be able to heal better and do more damage against Sylveon GX. Moving on, we have Vileplume Decidueye, which is definitely a problem for this deck. With Item Lock, your ability to use item cards is limited, and item cards are very good in this deck. Now, you can still use Guzma, however, because it is a supporter card, and switch in Vileplume and take it out, which is the only reason I say this might become a problem for this deck. You can still win against Vileplume Decidueye. The only other downside is Decidueye's massive HP and Force of Giant Plants. Force of Giant Plants will work in your benefit because you will be able to evolve Wimpod on the same turn that you play it, but it's going to work in Decidueye's favor a lot better. So it could go either way in Vileplume Decidueye, so I'm not going to say this is a definite win. It's going to be a hard match. So Volcanion is a tough match and most likely one that you will lose 8 out of 10 times. And really, the only deck in the standard format right now that's really going to become a super big problem for Golisopod. To keep up with Volcanion powering up, you'll have to kill them faster than they can kill you. And with Volcanion's 180 HP, it's going to be hard to do that. So basically what you'll have to do is you'll have to have 2 Lurantis down and be able to switch in and out in your Golisopods and have Choice Band on. So that's a lot of damage, a lot of things that you have to have on the field to just take down one Volcanion in one turn, to one-hit KO it. But they're going to be one-hit KOing you no problem because they don't even have to use Steam Up to one-hit KO you. You only have 210 HP, and their base damage is 130. So they're going to be doing 260 damage to you, which will one-hit KO a Golisopod. So not a good matchup, but you can beat it. I'm not going to say this is an impossible match to win. You can beat it. It is just going to be an extremely tough match, and most likely, like I said, 8 out of 10 times, you're going to be losing this match. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Deck Garage. That's all I have for you today. And if you enjoyed it, definitely hit that like button and show some support for this new series on our channel. It would be awesome. Also, leave a comment on what deck profile I should do next, and I might just do it. I have a ton of ideas already for decks that I want to do, but obviously your guys' wants come before mine. So definitely leave a comment on what I should do. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed, definitely click that subscribe button on the channel right now. We do a whole bunch of stuff. We do card reviews. I do a series where I do on Pokemon TCG Online, where I am training for the Pokemon TCG Worlds. Not this Worlds. Unfortunately, I missed the cut by just a few points, and I don't have any regionals or anything to go to. So I missed it by just a few points, but next year I am definitely probably going to be making it, so I'm already starting my training for it. And Gator is definitely going to be coming back to the channel soon, and will have his own series that he will be doing on the channel. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I am Jay from BroGaming TCG, and don't forget to always keep on battling and pursue your dreams.